Gary Neal again here, and in this video I want to talk about another myth that seems to pervade the world of hypnosis and NLP, and that's this myth that the unconscious mind cannot process a negative. This is nonsense. It's such nonsense, it's ridiculous, but it still goes on and on and on and on, and you get trainers and NLPers and hypnosis practitioners still spouting this same nonsense. And I see it time and time again on hypnosis groups and Facebook forums. It really needs to die out, and people need to stop and actually think about what they're saying. For a start, if the unconscious mind couldn't be able to process a negative, millions of New Yorkers would get run over every single day. If you go to New York, on every street corner, there's traffic signals for pedestrians that says, walk, don't walk. Walk, don't walk. Now, if the unconscious mind can't process a negative, then there'll be millions of New Yorkers walking out in front of traffic every day, getting run over and getting killed. So clearly, it's nonsense. But let's look at it in another couple of ways. And it really bugs me because it's so stupid that these hypnotists can't work this out. Because stage hypnotists don't have this problem. A stage hypnotist uses negatives all the time and gets the results. The stage hypnotist will put someone's arm up and say, your arm's rigid and stiff. It's rigid and stiff like a steel bar. You can't bend it. You can't bend it. The harder you try to bend it, the more you won't be able to bend it. You cannot bend that arm. And they go, how can it do that? If the unconscious mind cannot process a negative, you cannot bend your arm. Ooh. Doesn't work like that. In the same way, they will do something like they'll get someone to forget their name. You know, you cannot say your name. The harder you try to say your name, you cannot say it. Your name is gone. All negative suggestions, and yet it has the effect. And I see it with people with working with smokers, and I've seen some ridiculous scripts to try and help people stop smoking. And they, instead of telling the person that they're a non-smoker, they tell them, you are now a clean air breather. It's ridiculous. Utter nonsense. Now, and then they use the example of, don't think of a blue tree. What are you thinking of? Oh, a blue tree. Ah, that means your unconscious mind cannot process a negative. No, it doesn't, you idiot. Stop and think about it. Stop and think about it. Let's use the example. Don't think of a blue tree. What comes to mind? A blue tree. What part of your mind does the blue tree come to mind in? The conscious part of the mind, because that's why you're thinking of a blue tree. If the blue tree was in the unconscious part of the mind, you wouldn't be aware of it, would you? No, of course not. So what happens is, and if you use a negative phrase like don't think of a blue tree, what it's doing is it's drawing your conscious awareness to what it is you don't want someone to think about. So it's not that the unconscious mind cannot process a negative, it's that it draws your conscious awareness to what it is you're telling a person not to do. So it's nothing to do with your unconscious mind. And in fact, another discussion, there is no unconscious mind. That's another video. So it's your conscious awareness that's drawn to it. Now, this is really useful if you know this, because then you can draw conscious attention by using negatives. And if you become really skilled at NLP, you'll find one of the best ways of changing people's beliefs and breaking them out of problems is to use what are called knot patterns or double knot patterns, which really use negatives in a positive way to break people out of the problems. So it's nonsense that the unconscious mind cannot process a negative statement. Now, having said that, when you are working with a client, what you do want to do is to have them have a positive internal representation of the goal state or of the solution state, of the desired state. That is what you do want. You want their attention to go on the positive state, the desired state of what they do want. But that doesn't mean an unconscious mind cannot process a negative statement. That's just nonsense. And it's so important to get this and stop this myth. So yes, the unconscious mind, whatever the hell that is, can process negative statements. And the real proof of that is, how do you speak in the first place? Do you really speak consciously or unconsciously? Do you, when you think, right, I'm going to get up and speak like I'm doing now, do I think, right, hang on a minute, where does the noun go? Does it go before or after the verb? What about prepositions? Where did they go in the sentence? Well, adverbs. Hang on a minute. I've got to string all these together consciously. How do I do that? No, you don't speak consciously. You speak unconsciously. So therefore the unconscious mind, again, whatever the hell that is, has to be able to process negatives. Because if it wouldn't, you'd screw yourself up. So the unconscious mind is absolutely capable of processing negatives. And again, different discussion about whether or not the unconscious mind even exists is another video. But just please get rid of this myth. It is a total myth. The unconscious mind can process a negative statement. All it means is your conscious attention gets drawn to what it is that you're being told not to think about. So again, in the answer of don't think of the blue tree, your conscious attention is what's drawn to the blue tree. Get it? Simple. Okay, so that's the end of this particular myth. Hopefully it will soon die out, but I doubt it. But if you have any questions about this or anything else hypnosis related, please get in touch with me either via my website or my Facebook page or even on YouTube. Until then, I'll see you soon.